Those of you who have been around in Christian circles for a while know that there are a lot, and no, I haven't counted them all, a lot of verses that are misused or said to be misused. And I'm going to use one today. In this case, the controversy stems from taking a verse from the Old Testament, where the nation of Israel is at the center, and then applying it to a situation today, particularly when it refers to the church. The problem with this thinking is that more than 3/4 of the Bible is the Old Testament. That was the Bible of Jesus, and Paul, and the apostles, and the early church. Hebrews, for example, takes a promise given to Moses and Joshua and applies it to all believers today. Hebrews 13:6, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Israel is called God's own possession, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. Exodus 19. These very same words are used in the New Testament and applied to the church. Ephesians 2 tells how that the Gentiles were strangers to the covenants of promise, but now they have been brought near by the blood of Christ, and that God had made the two, Israel and the Gentiles, into one new man. The Gentiles are now fellow citizens with the saints, fellow heirs, and fellow members of the body. If you start limiting promises and words in the Bible to the immediate people they were addressed to, then you're not going to have much of a Bible left for yourself. The 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd. Well, that's David's experience. Are you going to just take all that and apply it to yourself? The verse I'm talking about here is 2 Chronicles 7, 13 and 14. I can hear some of you groaning all the way over here. Give me 2 minutes here. God says, if I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, and my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from the wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. I have talked in other lessons, and will do more in the future, about God working in things like the weather and pestilences to get people's attention, and even on a national level. I questioned some of this in the past because Christians aren't exempt from these kinds of things. Then I realized that that is the point. Christians are involved. The pestilence we are experiencing is affecting Christians. In the United States, we have representative government. Our leaders represent us. Well, most of the people who represent me strongly support abortion. That makes their sin my sin. They represent me. In the Bible, you have godly people like Nehemiah and Daniel confessing the sins of the people as if they were their own sins. Well, in America, in a sense, they are, because the people who represent us are doing things we would never do ourselves. Should Christians be involved in politics? You better be. Get yourself somebody to represent you who really does represent you. Our country is in the middle of a pestilence, which is destroying the country in many ways. Not just are people dying, but people are losing their livelihoods, their life savings. And Christians are not exempt. We are the salt of the earth. If the land is turning rotten, we are not being salt enough. God says he will heal their land, the land of his people. Is this our land? Yes, it's my land, and it's your land. Is it a broken land in need of healing? Yes, it is. For too long, God's people have stood back and watched while our country deteriorated in so many different ways. Just ask yourself one question. Who are you representatives in government? I don't just mean the president. Your state representatives, your state senator, your congressmen, your senators. Do they represent you? I submit to you that our nation is broken. Our nation needs to be delivered from pestilence, from destructive weather patterns, and yes, we'll talk about more of that in the future, from ungodliness and anti-godliness. The world doesn't know what's going on, but we do, or should. Our country can't save itself. We, God's people, can and should, by confessing our sins as a nation and seeking God for our nation. And yes, we will have to get people who truly represent us to represent us. God says that He will heal our nation, or He is willing to. It's what we do as God's people that will make the difference.